I have been a lifelong artist from a young age. I can remember the first thing I wanted to do was dance. I would watch TV shows like Making the Band, anything that I could get my hands on that was artistic. I would shut myself in my room and my brother would be like, "What's all that noise?" I'm like, "Nothing, I'm not learning 8 counts from a video." Whether it was dancing in the kitchen when my parents went to sleep, I've always kind of had this hunger with art. But being a Cameroonian American, my career choices are become a doctor, and finally, become a doctor. So we have this wide array of things that our parents want us to aspire to. And I know many first-gen kids can relate to having this artistic passion and your parents being like, "That's a great hobby. What else? What will you be doing after this?" But there's something in me that always told me, there's people out there, they're doing it, and they're doing it at a large level. But the problem with that is you don't necessarily see people that look like me. Being a woman and being a woman of color in this industry, looking up statistics, 8% of people in film are female directors. So that's already down there. Now add being a woman of color to that, and the statistics are further lower than that. So I'd always seen this dream, but I've never connected it to someone like me. And I don't know if any of you have heard of imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is essentially feeling like you don't belong in a certain space. Whether you're a man walking into a yoga class, in a class of all women, you can essentially get the feeling of, I know I'm allowed in this space, but it doesn't feel natural. And I remember coming to Pepperdine to start my MBA program, and everyone going around the room, "I'm the CEO of this, I'm the manager of that." And I was like, "I'm a choreographer. Do I say that? Or do I say artist? Like, what is the professional term of it?" And I find myself not being able to verbally self-identify because I'm branded by so many other things first. I've always in my mind had to identify as a Black woman when walking into a space, or have to identify as a woman in general. Studying econ and international studies in my undergrad, it's a heavily male-dominated major. So there's always this pre-introduction I have, where you walk into a space and people can already make an assumption about you. And that was always a very daunting thing for me. So I remember the circle kind of closing in on me, and I finally just said, well, I'm an artist. And everyone's like, "So you paint?" I'm like, "I can paint." And then it comes another layer. Why am I not verbally able to discuss what I do confidently and say, "Hey, I work for this brand, I've designed ads for so-and-so." There's something in me that makes me feel like I need to diminish, become smaller, box myself in, not take up too much space in a room. Noticing that, it's something I've adopted since childhood, because I believe humans are essentially a lot like canvases. While we can have this beautiful, achieved, completed painting, there's still the stuff under it that make us who we are. Whether it's our insecurities, whether it's our fears, whether it's our doubts, these things are still lingering. And the self-conscious 10-year-old Irene that walked into jazz class also walked into my first day of my MBA program. Given my name tag was flipped upside down, there's a lot of things that I had to push through. I remember telling my high school counselor, she said, "What are you gonna do when you graduate?" And I was like, "I'm gonna move to Los Angeles and be the best dancer for Britney Spears. Can't tell me otherwise." And she's like, "So you will make money how? Doing what exactly?" And even telling that to my parents are like, "Here's a few college brochures, take from the top and work your way down." So that dream in me essentially was always kind of pushed down. I remember even in 4th grade telling my teachers I wanted to be an artist, and they'd always ask me, and then what? It was never a full stop. It was never a statement that had a period on it. It was people asking me, what are you going to do when you're done with that hobby? And internalizing that, you begin to feel the need to conform to what society sees as respectable. It's not respectable to be a woman that's not covered dancing in a Nicki Minaj video, but something in me told me that if I didn't follow that passion I had inside me, I'd feel wildly unfulfilled. I remember taking my economics final my junior year and telling my teacher, hey, I gotta run, I have a Britney Spears music video. And he's like, yeah, get a note. I would go in between, back and forth, constantly. And I remember people in class always asking me, where do you go? Why are you always in LA? And I never felt confident, and I never felt bold enough to say, this is me, and this is who I am. I had a turning point. It was my junior year, and it was the biggest audition I've ever had. I packed up, I was mentally in my zone, I got to the very end of it. I remember right before I prepped to do this flip, I knew something was gonna go wrong. And it's kind of that gut feeling you get where you're like, I took off wrong. And if you've ever played a sport, you can kind of feel when your knee or something goes the wrong direction. I ended up getting a full rupture of my left Achilles tendon, and as a dancer, that is a career-ending injury, and it's something you don't bounce back from. The average age of people that sustain that injury are 45-year-old men that play tennis. So, safe to say, I looked at the recovery schedule, and it was over a year. And not just a year to get healthy, it's a year for the average person, not an athlete. So as an athlete, you kind of look at that as a full stop. It was 2 days after my injury, and I was taking a shower. I remember just having so much anger inside me and so much resentment for that happening to me. At the peak of my career, at the moment where I could finally show people that I could sustain myself, that I could make a living, I'm injured. And it's like a moment for everyone to kind of say, I told you so. When your job can end just from a simple injury, it's hard for people to really believe in you, and believe in you in a level that makes you yourself even feel confident. I slipped in the shower, and I just laid on the floor, and I remember thinking to myself, damn, like, this is my moment. This is me at this current moment. And something in me told me, this can't be my end, and this can't bring me down. That was the week before I was supposed to graduate. I couldn't drive, I couldn't walk, I couldn't shower, and I had one more economics final. And if you've ever been to UC Irvine, it's similar to Pepperdine, where everything is uphill. So I crutched my way to campus, and I'm waiting for disability services to show up and take me up a steep hill. And of course, that day, no one shows up, and I'm standing at the bottom of the hill in my dress with my crutches and one boot up. It took me 35 minutes to crutch up a hill that essentially would take me 7 on a good day. I remember walking into my econ final so sweaty, so disgusting. My teacher was like, do you want to take a seat? I'm like, I'm going to take this standing. At that point, something inside me, it showed me we're essentially more powerful than we think that we are. Things that are designed to keep us down or push us back, until you go through that kind of pain or a traumatic event that really changes your life, you won't discover that place inside you that can push for more. And that has made me push incredibly hard. Not only did I come back a better dancer, I came back with a different mindset, because you realize that it's a privilege and it's a blessing to get up every day, to dress yourself, to walk into a room. I think that event just shifted me as a person and as an individual. coming into new spaces and coming into a better version of myself, I feel like that event helped me grow in confidence, and it essentially led to me developing Africomond. Africomond is a full-service production company, and my goal has been to open doors for people and students that see art as a potential career and as something that they want to do in the future. You can confidently pursue something else, and you could confidently pursue your art career. My goal is for people to see themselves as limitless. The only limit that we should feel, essentially, I don't even know how to put this into words. As just a woman of color, there's this constant cloud of doubt around me. As an econ major, I never felt my limit was endless. I always kind of felt like, I can't be louder than them. I can't show I'm smarter than them. The more I grow and develop who I am, that confidence is slowly lifting. And I want to just take a moment to say to anybody thinking of pursuing a career outside of the box, you can be that person that lifts that burden for other people and creates space for others. Thank you, guys.